Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we're in the shop today. We will be bringing the truck in here shortly to do the Bison bumper install. As you guys have seen in the past couple of videos, 2 videos ago we introduced you to this project. We picked up the bumper, we kind of opened up all our parts and showed you everything that we had. And then in the previous video you also saw us pick up the winch and install the winch from Come Up. You know, that's that partnership between GM and Come Up that came up with the design. Put it in the AEV bumper. Now I would show you how to remove the factory bumper, but guys, we literally just showed that in the previous video. Not any real point of doing that twice. So if you guys want to see how to remove the factory bumper, make sure you check out the video link up above. That way you guys have full detailed instructions on how to remove that. We're pretty much going to jump right into doing the bumper install, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, before you install the bumper, you need to pull these black filler panels off. And if you guys can see, they're just held on with these plastic clips. Wow, these are cheap. GM used to make these out of metal, but now they're plastic apparently. And yeah, just pull back away from the headlight, and these all 3 will pop off. This one is under the fender, so do take some care and kind of carefully pry it off, because you could damage the paint. We didn't, just double checking. So yeah, these do have to come off. And before we install the Bison bumper, you're going to want to put in the little foot pegs that are there. And these basically snap in the same way we just removed the factory parts. So 3 tabs, they're plastic. Just gonna want to kind of line it up behind the fender. And there you go, they simply snap right in. And that's gonna be your little foot peg, like I said, for the Bison bumper. Alright guys, we have the grill, the upper bumper part, the external bumper parts mounted. Everything is just kind of held in place. You can see we got the winch there. We need to punch a hole through this for this handle. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be about it for the bumper install. We still got some modifications and stuff to do, but just wanted to give you a quick update of we've gotten the bumper on. You guys just saw us install that. We've got some wiring and stuff to do, so let's go ahead and finish this up. Alright guys, it's been a long day, but we have pretty much wrapped up the front end. And what I mean is, you guys can see we have all of the trim plates in. We got the pieces underneath the headlight. We showed you that earlier. We put the little footstep thing, you know, here on the sides. We put the middle piece in. We got this last side in. And then the other thing that we did was we drilled the front crossover piece, and that will disengage the winch. So that's just a little safety thing that they sell you. I put the little splash guard back on. We did have to take that out, and then I did plug the bumper back in. I'm not sure if you guys can see that in there, but the bumper is in here. And this is the LED fog light wiring. That is the fog light for my Silverado, the ZR2. The Bison and the AT4X, which uses a generic fog light out of like a Buick or something, both of mine were broke. If you guys can see, the mounting bracket is all jacked up. If you look at the harness, unfortunately, that is not the same as what's on the truck. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of modification to my bumper harness to swap this over to the Bison LEDs. So it kind of sucks it doesn't work, but you know what, we'll figure it out. Just wanted to point that out. Then what I did over here on the driver's side was actually put in the front liner. You guys can see this plastic piece right here that goes down to underneath the bumper. The stock ZR2 does not have that, but when you do the Bison bumper, you do need to buy those. I think those were $45 a side. I'll have a part number down below for that. So yeah, so we got that installed, and I also did trim the fender liner. That little carpeted piece, I think I cut like 6 inches of it off. I'll be honest, I'm not even sure where it is. Oh, it's right here. So yeah, I just kind of cut the piece off that was folded over. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to fit that new fender liner in there with the carpet, because it will fold underneath, but trying to get everything tight and screwed down, it just isn't gonna work. So we got that installed, and the last thing I wanted to tell you guys about was these plastic fender liner extensions, if that's what we want to call it. This is from the passenger side. Basically what this actually bolts up to the bottom of your frame rail, and then the carpeted fender liner, you see these two screws, basically screws into it. So there's 4 10mm bolts on the top of this that ties it into the frame rail. You're gonna have to remove this because these do not work with the Bison bumper. I just wanted to point that out as another change you're gonna have to remove. All right guys, another difference between the Bison and the ZR2 we discovered is this bottom little skid plate holder protector thing is actually a different length between the two. If you guys could see, I cut off probably 1.5 inches on both sides. You guys can see I cut that off with a Sawzall and I hit it with an angle grinder, and I just painted it with some SEM trim black, and it matches the frame perfectly. So that is a difference between the ZR2 and the Bison, is this 1.5 inches of frame, this little auxiliary frame that you're gonna have to cut off. So we did that on both sides, and now we're ready to go ahead, put the splash guards in, and then put the bottom part of the skid plate on. And speaking of the skid plate, you guys can see that I had to modify this as well. Now this modification is just for serviceability, it's not for really anything else. If you guys have the normal Bison without the winch, then you guys won't have to worry about this. But if you did install the winch like we did, you can see the red hook on there, you're gonna run into a problem with the skid plate basically being stuck between the winch and the bumper. So if you ever wanted to take the skid plate off, you would actually have to take the whole front of the bumper off just to get it off. So I saw a modification on the ZR2 forums. The guys just took this front little plate, it goes on, it just went in like this. They simply trimmed it off, painted it, and that's what we did. So we've modified this bottom skid plate so that we can service anything underneath the frame if we ever need to. But like I said, the instructions are kind of not crystal clear. Before you put the bumper on, they actually want you to put the skid plate in there, but that's kind of difficult because this bolts through the bumper to the skid plate. So it's kind of asinine the way they want you to do this. So like I said, I followed that model online, and we basically eliminated that vulnerability of not being able to take the skid plate off without having to take the bumper off. So by doing this little modification, like I said, I just trimmed it with an angle grinder, hit it with a flappy wheel, and again, we just use SEM trim black. Actually, you guys can see it in the can over there. And it matches pretty much 100% perfectly. So, and one more quick tech tip. If you guys are not familiar with taking these trucks apart, I've taken mine apart a couple times, but new to the ZR2 Bison bumper, it's actually gonna be 3 steps to put it back in. You wanna put the carpeted fender liner back in. You're gonna wanna put the black plastic little fender liner in, splash guard thing, and then you're gonna wanna put the bottom skid plate on. So fender liner, the black plastic piece, and then the skid plate. So we just kind of had to figure that out, and I just want to make sure you guys are aware of order of operations and how to do this. So we can officially call this bumper project done. And if you guys could see, we got everything put in. We have the fender liners put in. I need to trim that a little bit, but we got the plastic fender liner, the carpet fender liner, got the plastic on the bottom. We have the skid plate that we were talking about earlier. We got the hook installed. Now, yes, we are missing the black plastic inserts in the middle. That's what they say, AEV. I need to go to the hardware store and replace the bolts that I have in there. Go to the hardware store, go get some longer bolts for that. And yeah, now the other thing we just discovered, you guys will remember that we cut off that lower cross member. Come to find out, the cross member is actually different between the ZR2 and the Bison. Now what I mean by that is that cross member is actually probably 2 inches shorter on my truck versus the Bison. But that's just kind of one of those discoveries that we made. And I think that honestly, I'm the first person to do that has at least documented it online, you know, for YouTube and whatnot. So that cross member is approximately 2 inches shorter. You know, if you found the Bison specific one, you could not have to cut it and then have that 2-inch gap that we have. So what I might do, this is actually what I did on my 2500 previously. I might go ahead and get some like aluminum standoffs, and basically what it is, it's just gonna be taking the you know, that gap, you put a longer bolt through it, and that, you know, could call it a day. So we might do something like that, but I also might try to find that cross member. I was not aware that was different. That's something that we discovered at the last minute trying to bolt the skid plate up, is that cross member that we had to cut, like I said, is different between the two. So do what we did. I just bolted it up. I don't have that cross member hooked up to the skid plate right now. Could get those aluminum standoffs that I'm talking about and do it that way, or try to find the GM part number and buy it. I don't know what the cost would be. I could only imagine it'd be probably kind of stupid expensive. So that being said, we have our release hooked up. We got the Chevrolet top piece put in. We got the steps, the fog lights. Told you about the bolts, the hook. And so yeah, that is gonna be a wrap up on this bumper project. I've actually had a number of people already ask me for what's the part numbers, what have I used, where have I got them. So I'm gonna compile a list. I'll just put everything in a spreadsheet and I'll throw it on my Dropbox site. We used it for other builds we've done, the LS9, the LSA swap on the SS. So I think I'll just drop a document. That'll be linked down below with everything that we've bought. And if I find either a harness for the LED fog lights or that cross member that we've been talking about that we've had to modify, I will include that information down below. If not, maybe we'll do a follow-up video. I'm just not sure yet, but as of right now, this bumper looks awesome. Everything is complete, everything is mounted. And so yeah, that's gonna be it. If you guys like this video, hit that thumbs up. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. If you guys want to help support the channel, check out all the links down below. I'll try to include a part number for everything that we've used today. And also make sure you check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. Any support you give there goes right back into the channel, these projects, this bumper, the winch, all this stuff, as well as the Corvette. So that's going to be it. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.